I should have walked away the second the man in the black suit asked me to carry the champagne tray upstairs. Nothing good ever happens in the upstairs lounges of a mafia-run gala. Not that I knew where I was when I signed up to cater the event. I just needed the money. One night's pay equaled 3 weeks of my mother's medication, and survival doesn't leave room for fear. But the moment I stepped into that hall of velvet masks, glittering dresses and voices sharpened with hidden hostility, I knew I didn't belong anywhere near these people. Their attention felt heavy. Their smiles didn't reach their eyes. Even the music sounded like it was hiding something. I kept my head down trying to blend in with the other servers, but that only worked for about 30 minutes. Long enough for me to deliver drinks, dodge unwanted hands and remind myself this was just a job, nothing more. Long enough to pretend I didn't feel the tension crawling beneath the polished surface of the event. It happened when I opened the door to the back corridor, hoping to take a short break away from the noise. I didn't expect voices. Urgent, low, the kind that prickles the back of your neck. "You're sure the files will be transferred tonight?" A man's voice, sharp, impatient. "Positive. The girl is the loose end. If she hears anything, she disappears." Another voice, colder. My hand froze on the door. "Girl, loose end?" I tried to back away quietly, but my shoe scraped the floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Everything in me stilled. The door jerked open and I was staring into the eyes of a Morano soldier, though I didn't know his name yet. All I saw was anger, and recognition that I had heard too much. "Who the hell are you?" he snapped, grabbing my arm. My mouth went dry. "I'm just a caterer, I didn't hear anything." "Liar." His grip tightened. "Come with me." I yanked my arm back. "Let go of me." "Bad idea." He reached for a knife tucked beneath his coat, and panic shot through me so fast it felt like electricity in my blood. But before I could scream, everything changed. A deeper, quieter voice filled the hallway, controlled, steady, and unsettlingly calm. "Is there a reason you're threatening one of my staff?" The man who spoke stepped out of the shadows like he'd been standing there the whole time. I recognized him instantly. Everyone did. Dante Valeri. The Don people whispered about like he was a myth. The man known for ending wars with a single command. Cold-blooded. Unreachable. A name that carried weight heavier than bullets. The soldier stiffened. "Don Valeri," she overheard. "That's not what I asked." Dante's eyes shifted to me. I had never seen eyes like that, dark but too sharp to look away from. He didn't blink, didn't move, just watched me like he was reading every thought I had ever had. "I was only taking a break," I managed, my voice small. "Is that so?" Dante asked quietly. I nodded, even though his gaze made my heart pound harder. The soldier interrupted. "She heard about the transfer." Dante held up a hand. "Just that." And the man shut up instantly. "Release her," Dante said. The soldier hesitated for half a second too long. Dante stepped closer. Not threatening, not loud, but with a kind of authority that made the air feel heavier. "I don't repeat myself." The soldier let go of me immediately. Dante moved his attention back to me. "You're trembling." "I'm not," I lied. He didn't smile. He didn't soften. But something in his expression shifted. Barely visible but enough to unsettle me even more. "Walk with me," he said. I didn't want to. But staying would have been worse. I followed him down a quieter hall, my pulse thudding in my ears. He didn't touch me, didn't glance back, yet somehow I felt watched the whole time. When we reached a small room, he stopped and turned. "Tell me exactly what you heard." I swallowed. "Just two men talking." I didn't understand anything. I didn't plan to listen. "You're lying out of fear," he said plainly, "not guilt." His accuracy startled me. "I'm not lying." He studied me again. Slow, methodical, as if searching for cracks in my words. That was when his gaze dropped to my wrist. I followed his eyes, confused, seeing nothing unusual. Just the faint birthmark I'd had since childhood. A simple shape. A curved line. Nothing special. But Dante's expression changed instantly. Not confusion. Not curiosity. Recognition. He reached out but stopped himself an inch before touching me. His jaw tightened. "Where did you get that mark?" "It's just a birthmark." "It's not." His voice was lower now. Controlled in a different way. "That mark belongs to a sisterhood few have ever survived." My heart lurched. "What are you talking about?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer, not touching me but close enough that his presence pressed against every sense I had. "You don't know what you've stumbled into," he said quietly. "And they won't stop until you're silenced." The fear I'd been pushing down rose in my throat. Why would anyone want to silence me? I didn't do anything. "You exist," he said simply. "Sometimes that is enough." Before I could respond, footsteps echoed down the hall. Fast, purposeful. The soldier from before appeared again, breathless. "Don Valeri, Morano men are asking for her. They said she stole something." Dante shifted in front of me without hesitation, blocking me from their view. "She leaves with me," he said. "You can't," the soldier started. "I can," Dante replied, "because I just did." It wasn't shouted. It wasn't a threat. It was final. He turned to me again. "Stay close." I didn't argue. Being beside him felt like the only safe place in the building. He led me through service corridors, down a private exit, and into the cool night air behind the estate. My lungs finally expanded like they hadn't since the moment the door opened behind me earlier. But Dante didn't stop. He opened the door of a waiting car. "Get in." I hesitated. "Why are you helping me?" For the first time something flickered in his eyes. Something unguarded, almost unsettled, like I had done something to him without realizing it. "Because," he said slowly, "I don't believe in coincidences." I didn't know what he meant. Not yet. But when I stepped into the car, he reached for my wrist again, tracing the shape of the mark with his gaze. Not touching but close enough that my skin tingled. "That mark," he murmured, more to himself than to me, "belongs to the woman who saved my life when I was 10 years old." My breath caught. He finally met my eyes again. "And I think," he said, voice low, "you are connected to the one person I owe a debt I can never repay." The door shut. The car began to move. And nothing about my life would ever be the same again. I woke up to the unfamiliar softness of a bed that wasn't mine. The ceiling above me looked expensive in a quiet, understated way, cream-colored, smooth, clean lines. A faint scent of cedar and something sharper lingered in the air. My body tensed before my memories caught up. The gala. The Morano men. The mark on my wrist. Dante Valeri. I sat up quickly, disoriented. A large window overlooked a quiet garden, but the room itself was guarded by silence. Not comforting silence, watchful silence. The door opened before I could gather my thoughts. Dante stood in the doorway, dressed in a simple black shirt with sleeves rolled up slightly. Nothing about him looked unprepared. He looked exactly the way someone should look when they have control over everything except the one person who has just disrupted their routine. You're awake," he said. I pulled the blanket around me. "Why am I here?" "Because last night you were nearly killed," he replied, stepping inside. "And because the Moranos now have a reason to target you." "I didn't do anything," I said, frustration pushing through the fear. "I know." His voice didn't rise. "That's not what matters to them." He leaned against the table near the window, not taking his eyes off me. His presence felt both steadying and suffocating. "You shouldn't have heard what you heard," he added. "They see you as a risk." "You brought me to your house for what? Protection?" I asked. "Yes. I don't even know you." His gaze softened in a way that didn't match the reputation attached to his name. "You will." I didn't know what to say to that. He seemed too calm about everything. My fear, the danger, the fact that we were strangers tied together by a faint mark on my skin. "I don't want to stay here," I said quietly. "You have no choice." He said it without cruelty. Just a fact. But it still unsettled me. He paused before adding, "Sit. We need to talk." I hesitated but eventually moved to the chair across from him. He watched me carefully, studying every movement like it meant something. Maybe to him it did. "I need to ask you something," he said. "Do you know who your birth parents are?" The question hit me in a place I didn't expect. "No. I was adopted when I was 2. My adoptive parents said the orphanage didn't have records." He nodded slowly as though confirming something he had already suspected. "And that mark on your wrist?" he asked. "I was born with it. My adoptive parents said it was just a birthmark." His expression changed, not surprised but pained in a controlled, quiet way. "It isn't a birthmark. It's a symbol of a sisterhood that protected women targeted by powerful families. The same women who protected me as a child. I frowned. I don't understand. He looked down for a moment as if pulling himself back from an old memory. When I was 10, my father's enemies tried to kill me. A woman stepped in. She hid me, protected me, kept me alive when she had no reason to risk her own life. He paused. She wore the same mark you have. Something in my chest tightened. But that doesn't mean anything. Lots of people have birthmarks. Not like this one, he interrupted. Yours has the exact shape. It's not coincidence. I tried to steady my breathing. The room felt too warm. So what? You think I'm connected to her? That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense, he said quietly. Especially now. I couldn't tell if he was trying to comfort me or convince himself. A soft knock came at the door. One of Dante's men stepped inside. A tall, tense-looking man who kept his eyes low. Boss, he said. You need to see this. Dante stood immediately, the atmosphere shifting with him. What is it? The man hesitated. You're not going to like it. Dante's jaw ticked once. Speak. It's about her. The guard's eyes flickered toward me. The Moranos placed a bounty on her head an hour ago. A high one. They're saying she stole encrypted files from the gala. I felt the blood drain from my face. I didn't steal anything. Dante didn't look at me with doubt. I know. But the guard continued. It's worse. They said she's not just a witness. They said she's important. Someone valuable to them. A cold, uneasy feeling crept up my spine. Why would I be important to them? Neither man answered. Dante turned back to me, expression unreadable. Stay in this room. Don't open the door for anyone except me. Understand? What's happening? I demanded. He stepped closer, not touching me but crowding the space between us with something strong and protective. You're in the middle of a war you didn't create. And until I figure out why, you stay where I can keep you alive. His voice carried no room for argument. But underneath it there was something else. Concern he was trying too hard to hide. He left with the guard and the door shut behind them. Seconds stretched into slow, dragging minutes. I tried breathing through the rising panic, but it wasn't easy. The words bounty and valuable replayed in my head like a warning I couldn't ignore. I stood and moved toward the door, pressing my ear against it. Voices echoed faintly down the hall, Dante's and another man's. The tension in them was impossible to miss. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone told me enough. Something was very wrong. A sudden crash made me jump. A second later, the door burst open, not from Dante but from a man I didn't recognize. His eyes were wild, desperate, and fixed on me. Come here, he growled, stepping forward. My body froze. Who are you? He didn't answer. He lunged. I stumbled back, but a hand caught my arm before he could reach me. Dante's. He slammed the man into the wall so hard the entire room shook. The sound of pain tore from the intruder's throat. You, Dante said, voice terrifyingly calm, were like a brother to me. The man spat blood. You should have sided with us, Dante. She's not what you think she is. Dante didn't shout. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You betrayed me, he said simply. You betrayed my house. And you tried to take her. The intruder, Marco, from the look of horror in his eyes, choked out, You don't understand. They want her for a reason. A reason you're not going to like. Dante cut him off with a decisive move that ended the fight instantly. Marco slumped to the floor, unmoving. Silence dropped like a heavy weight. I stood frozen, breath shaking. Dante turned to me slowly, the coldness in his expression giving way to something rawer, more conflicted. They wanted you, he said, voice low, because you're connected to something bigger than either of us realized. My heart pounded. Connected how? His answer was quiet but firm. I don't know yet. But whatever the truth is, it's going to change everything. The moment Marco's body hit the floor, the air in the room changed. It wasn't the silence. I'd felt silence before. This was something heavier. A shift. A realization settling between Dante and me like a truth neither of us was prepared to face. He didn't look at Marco again. He only looked at me. You're not safe here anymore, he said. I kept my back pressed against the wall, not because I feared him but because the room felt too small for what had just happened. You said this place was secure. It was, he replied. Until I discovered the traitor was one of my own. His voice didn't waver, but the disappointment underneath it was sharp. Whatever Marco had been to him, the betrayal mattered. I could see it in the quiet way he stood there trying to keep himself calm. What did he mean, I asked, when he said I'm not what you think I am? Dante stepped closer. Not fast, not aggressive, just with the steady certainty he always carried. I intend to find out. And what if you don't like the answer? I asked. He didn't blink. You didn't choose any of this. That matters more to me than whatever truth is waiting. His words caught me off guard. He didn't say them like a reassurance. He said them like a decision already made, one he wouldn't walk back. But the moment didn't last. Another guard appeared at the doorway, sweaty and pale. Boss. The Moranos made a move. They're spreading out in the city. It looks like they're searching for someone. Dante didn't ask who. He already knew. He turned to me. We can't stay here. Pie bag. Forget it. He guided me down the hallway, his hand hovering near my back but never touching. His men moved around us, tense and alert. Every corner, every shadow felt like a threat now. By the time we reached the garage, someone had already pulled Dante's car forward. Before I could climb in, Dante stopped me with a quiet wait. His eyes searched mine with a focus that made it hard to breathe. If they get to you before I do, everything changes. Do you understand? I nodded, though my hands trembled. He opened the door for me. Good. Then don't leave my side. The drive was tense. Even his guards seemed on edge. Dante didn't speak at first, only scanned the mirrors in a way that made me wonder what he was expecting to see. Finally, his jaw tightened. The Moranos wouldn't risk everything for a server at a gala, he said. Even if you overheard something. I know, I whispered. They want you for a reason tied to your past. My past is a blank page, I reminded him. I don't even have a birth certificate. Yes, he said quietly. That's what worries me. His phone buzzed. He answered without taking his eyes off the road. What did you find? He asked. I listened, heart pounding, as a low voice on the other end spoke too quietly for me to understand. Dante's grip on the steering wheel tightened. Send me the picture. Seconds later, his phone lit up with an old photograph. He slowed the car and pulled to the side of the road. He turned the screen toward me. A woman with kind eyes. Dark hair. A soft smile that felt strangely familiar. On her wrist, the same mark as mine. I've seen her before, I whispered, though I didn't know when or how. That's her, Dante said. The woman who saved my life. My chest tightened. She looks like she could be. Your mother, he finished. I swallowed hard. But that doesn't explain why the Moranos want me. He didn't speak. Not at first. Then he turned the phone back toward himself and clicked on the next file that had been sent. A document. Names. Dates. Something encrypted. And then my name. Liana Moretti. Listed under heir status. I felt my stomach twist. What is that? Dante exhaled slowly. It's a roster of bloodlines within the Morano family. That can't be right, I said quickly. I was adopted. I've never even met them. Liana. His voice softened in a way that made everything feel more real. The Moranos thought you died 20 years ago. They lost their only daughter at 2 years old when a fire destroyed the safe house she was kept in. I wasn't in a fire, I whispered. No, he said. Someone got you out. And she wore that mark. Everything inside me froze. My breath. My heartbeat. My sense of identity. You're saying I couldn't finish it. He did. You are the biological daughter of the Morano family. My entire world tilted. No, I said, shaking my head. No, that can't be true. My adoptive parents found me in an orphanage. That's what they were told, he said gently. It doesn't mean it was true. Before I could argue again, bright headlights appeared behind us. Too close. Too fast. Dante reacted instantly. Get down. The car swerved as bullets hit the back bumper. The guards in the second car accelerated, trying to block the attacker, but the Morano vehicle rammed us again. Dante made a sharp turn. They're not trying to kill you, he said. They're trying to take you. The realization made my blood run cold. What are we going to do? I asked. End this. Before I could ask what that meant, he pulled up beside an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the city. One I recognized only because the news once reported it as a known Morano hideout. My heart dropped. You're taking me to them? No, he said. I'm taking the fight to them. He ordered one of his men to take me somewhere safe, but before they could follow through, another car screeched around the corner. Murano symbols on the hood. Run, Dante said. But I couldn't leave him. Something inside me refused. Liana, he said sharply, go. That's an order. I didn't move. The Muranos dragged me out of the guard's arms before he could react. A cloth pressed against my face. Everything blurred. The world spun. The last thing I saw was Dante fighting through the chaos, calling my name. When I woke up, the room around me was dim and cold. The Murano Don, my supposed biological father, stood over me. His eyes weren't kind. They were calculating. So, he said, the girl we thought burned 20 years ago is alive. I'm not your daughter, I said, though my voice cracked. You are. But that doesn't matter to me now. What matters is what you represent. Behind him, the door broke open. Dante entered like a storm that refused to be stopped. The Murano Don grabbed me in front of him. Take one more step, he warned, and she dies. Dante didn't stop. He lowered his gun, eyes locked on mine. Liana. Don't move. I'm not letting her go, the Don said. You already did, Dante responded. And in one swift movement, calculated, controlled, Dante took the shot that ended the man's grip on me forever. He rushed to me before my knees could give out. His hands framed my face, steady and warm. Look at me. You're safe. I believed him. He held me close, not possessively but with something deeper, something that felt like a promise neither of us fully understood until this moment. When he finally pulled back, his voice softened. There's one more truth. I braced myself. What is it? He touched the mark on my wrist gently. Your mother died protecting you, and me. She saved us both. And now her daughter is the only person I will ever owe my life to. The weight of it settled between us quietly. Not fate. Not coincidence. Something stronger. He cupped my cheek. You're not alone in this anymore. Whatever happens next, you're mine to protect. And for the first time I didn't argue.